Deadpool and Wolverine. I have a lot to say. No worries, no spoilers. It's been a while since I have enjoyed an MCU film. It's been a very long time. I would say years since I truly felt anything going to the theater to watch that regurgitated baby food shit out of their asshole into our eyeballs, and they're like, hey, yeah, this is a good comic book movie. You guys like this, right? No, we don't. It feels like Marvel hasn't really had a solid plan. It really has felt like it's taken a step down. Now, I'm not referring to Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm talking about Thor Love and Thunder, okay? Do you know anyone who likes that movie? If you do, immediately unfriend them, block them, and then you have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I'm sure people like it. I would never go back and revisit it. And then you had other abominations such as the Marvels. Probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen in the theater. I posted a quick little blurb on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it summarizes my feelings on Deadpool and Wolverine. This is a rated R love letter to comic book movies. A much needed, unfiltered, adrenaline shot straight into Marvel's fucking heart. I didn't put the fucking part in there. Potentially reviving it from the dead. It's pure, well-earned fan service and a must-see blockbuster. Now, I know reading that, it sounds like I was paid by Disney. Handsomely, and I wish I was. Watching this, it reminded me of watching big action blockbuster films in the cinema back in the 90s when I was a stupid little kid. It felt like a buddy team-up movie from the 1990s. It had this tangible tone to it at times. They weren't afraid to make a fucking pure comic book movie. The characters look like the comic book accurate versions of themselves. The dynamic between Deadpool and Wolverine, it wasn't just gags and dick jokes the entire time. And don't get me wrong, you do have some of those, and I quite enjoyed them. Hugh Jackman, for me, stole every scene that he was in. I love me some Ryan Reynolds. He was born to play Deadpool, but on the flip side of that, Hugh Jackman was born to play Wolverine. If you had to encompass all of Hugh Jackman's gravitas as the character Logan and Wolverine, and you had to just combine it into one film. And I know this might be a weird, unpopular opinion. I know Logan is technically the better performance from Hugh Jackman playing the character Logan. In Deadpool and Wolverine, this is the best live action portrayal of Wolverine from Hugh Jackman. No spoilers, but there's a scene that reminded me of why I enjoy these larger-than-life, muscle-bound characters that have arms that look like veiny, lubed-up dicks just kicking ass on the big screen. It's the same feeling I used to get when I would watch something like Batman 1989 or Batman Returns as a kid. And there was a sequence towards the end of this film where I felt that same way. It gave me goosebumps. It took me to a happy place. Sean Levy, who directed this film, who also directed Night at the Museum, which I was never a fan of, but he also directed a movie called Real Steel, which is essentially the over-the-top remake, but with robots. I like it. It's a good rainy day movie. Also starring Hugh Jackman, but I would say this is probably my favorite movie he's ever directed by far, and I think he understands these characters. Now, is it a perfect movie? No. I think the narrative at times is a little bit messy. I think there's some set pieces that I didn't love. Some of the motivation from the antagonist of the film was a little bit cliche and lackluster, especially towards the third act. And I'm very aware of those things. The focus point of this film is Deadpool and Wolverine combining forces, having some banter, kicking some ass. I couldn't ask for more when it comes to the back and forth with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds in this film. I really don't think there's anything else they could have said or done that they didn't do in this film to fulfill my needs emotionally from these two characters and to really give audiences a payoff. Because let's be honest, we've seen Hugh Jackman play Wolverine in 75 other movies. We've seen Deadpool, we've seen Wolverine, we've seen these characters, and we've seen a lot of things that have been referenced and built up in previous films, and this movie gives you those payoffs. It truly does. Just minute things, like small little jokes and gags, have their payoff. And if you think I only like this movie because of all the cameos and the superheroes that show up, Yeah, that was pretty fucking cool. And I will say some of them really blew my melon wide open. And what I mean by that is, and once again, no spoilers, there are a few characters who show up in this film that I would have never guessed. I would have never guessed which characters and who's playing them that show up in this movie. But every single one that did was done to perfection and got just the right amount of screen time. And they're hilarious. Like, it elevated the movie. And if in any movie where you can just have 75 superhero comic book cameos, it's a movie like this. It fits very well. And it works within the story. We're going to talk about spoilers in another video, but holy shitballs. There's a 6-7 minute sequence in this movie from a very big A-list actor portraying a comic book character. And it's probably some of the most hilarious shit I've seen in a movie in the last decade. I was laughing so hard, I was literally choking on my Swedish fish. I'm not joking. That's not even an exaggeration. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that. Because you guys know, in my old age on YouTube, I hate every single movie that Hollywood poops out. You guys know that. So if I'm praising something, you know it comes from a safe, warm, tingly place down below. And now, I don't expect every Marvel movie coming out to be rated R or to this level, but in the upcoming X-Men, because they are going that route very soon, that's the next phase of Marvel. If they can just keep that tone that they had with Wolverine and a few other characters in this movie, I feel like the X-Men franchise is going to be in very, very good hands. This is what Marvel needed. They needed this. This was a slap in the face. Stop making your junky, shitty movies that no one wants to watch, where you bastardize the characters we've grown to love, and it looks like you shot the entire movie over the course of a weekend in someone's garage in front of a green screen. Stop doing that, Marvel. You have the money, you have the talent, just give us what we want. We'll give you the cash, take it. So, to sum it up, this movie's a nerdgasm. It's a return to form. It felt like a real movie. It felt like it took risks. In previous Marvel films, especially over the last four years or so, it feels like Marvel just wanted to say no to everything and play it very safe, almost too safe. And it feels like, you know what? They said, you know what? We have nothing left to lose at this point. Just rip that shit up and let's go for it. And this film earns that R rating. In the areas that it needs to get right, it goes above and beyond. It truly does. And I hate to say this, but everything else was servicing these two characters because they just steal the screen every time they're on it. Hugh Jackman in this movie, and let me just praise this man just for a few more seconds. You just look at this guy and you think to yourself, or at least I do, I think, that is a man. That is a man, and that is a damn good actor. And it just elevates the entire film every time he shows up. Is it fan service? Abso-fucking-lutely it's fan service. But as I've always said, and I originally said this, no one else said it. And if they did say it, they took it from me because they're unoriginal. I'm a fan, so service me. And I will say, Marvel and Disney, they serviced me this time. For the first time in a very long time. And I quite enjoyed it. And when I close my eyes at night, I'm going to reminisce about it. So anyway, you can't say I hate every movie now because I clearly enjoy Deadpool and Wolverine. You know what? I'm excited because whenever there's a good movie that hits cinemas, that gets me excited. That gets my ticker pumping, okay? It makes me feel something. It makes me feel alive. Listen, I didn't quit talking about movies on YouTube. No, I didn't quit. Movies quit me, okay? Cinema quit me. And it quit you too.
Let's fucking go.